What's up, y'all? This is a fun video that I wanted to throw together. This is a part 3 video, technically, to a one-shot that I did with a bunch of these YouTubers. These are 4 YouTubers that also played in a Session 0 game where we created characters together, then in an actual live play game where we actually did a one-shot together, and now we are coming back together for their kind of breakdown thoughts of some different things and things just thinking about playing and some of their thoughts and all of that. But this is Chris from Trent Monk's Temple, Will from D&D Shorts, Colby from D4 Deep Dives, and Mr. Rex. Last time I did these YouTuber one-shots, y'all wanted to see kind of what their thoughts were after and saying what they liked, what they didn't like, with some thoughts, some feedback. I want the good, I want the bad, I want it all, because I want to get as much feedback as I can from the people who play it, and that includes you guys. So leave those comments in the description on different things that y'all liked or didn't like and all that kind of stuff, because I want to hear both. I want to be able to hear what you like so I can protect it and make sure it's there, and I want to hear what you don't like to see if I can kind of work out some kinks and stuff like that, because I really hear you guys. So let's get to the feedback, and all of these YouTubers' links and channels are down in the description, and if you do like DC20 itself, there's an affiliate link to be able to pick that up for yourself down in the description as well, and it's one of these guys' affiliate links that gives back to them too as a thank you for all the time they spent playing DC20 with me. So let's go.
I love the monk. It's so fun. I love the stances. They're so great. Like it really leans into, I don't know, like I just finished watching Kung Fu Panda 1 and 2.
Let's go.
Thinking about like, well, back-to-back consecutive nights.
Oh, okay.
And just think, like, I love the idea of like Mantis style, like style,
yeah,
style. Just like and like in my head, it paints a picture like, oh, when I'm in Scorpion style, it looks like this.
Yeah.
You know, and that's really cool and powerful too, and fun to have the flexibility to be like, oh, okay, this is good to like counterattacks. This is good if like there's multiple enemies. This is good for a single enemy.
Right.
The customization. I would almost say. Like, I hate to say this, and people would probably crucify me for saying it, but I would almost say, like, you could probably scale back some of the options and choices that you make for your character just a little bit, like at levels 1 and/or 2.
Are you talking about options you have in combat or character creation options?
Character. Like I found myself going, okay, I'm at level 2. I've got to choose, not just weapons and armor and like your class and subclass features and
ancestry
that entails, ancestry stuff, like your ability scores, but like then when you hit level 2 and suddenly
talent,
you take the martial path, techniques, right? And then the talent and like more maneuvers. I would say probably of all of those things that I think that you could maybe cut or just pare down a little bit. The maneuvers, like you get so many maneuvers as a martial character because you automatically get all of the you
always have the 3 attack maneuvers, and I believe you get 4
and trip or whatever.
Yeah, plus 4 more regular any maneuvers. Yeah.
And then I got another one at level 2.
So yeah, that's a good point.
8 maneuvers,
that's cool.
And I just found myself like, and this was just one combat encounter, and
right.
I'm a newbie and I don't know what I'm doing, so it might end up being differently. But I mean, I'm just looking at all the maneuvers that I had access to. I think I only used 1.
Right. Well, and you also had another maneuver in the stance you chose with the monk, and you had like the scorpion strike thing, and like you made your life harder on top of that to have even more choices. So yeah, no, I see that too for sure.
Yeah, see, it's weird because for me, like maneuvers, I feel like it's the one as a barbarian. It was the one thing that I could choose and do like in my turns. Like I almost feel differently just because I guess maybe it's just because. Maybe I don't get as many options as the monk does.
Sure.
So you don't have the stances,
Maybe it's just specific to the monk. You could almost say maybe don't automatically give them the 3 martial maneuvers, or give them to them, but maybe pair the additional maneuvers that they can choose down to a couple instead of 4 or something like that.
One of the
it is interesting
not a huge deal,
because I did multi-class into monk, and it's funny because when I did, I looked at the monk level 2 and I was like, oh my god,
Whoa! Oh, what did I stumble into? Yeah. Another similar thing, and this is kind of something that I've chosen to do, and I'm interested in seeing. And y'all are kind of touching on some of that with the whole monk thing, because I have each class as like an advanced, like how advanced could they be? Because I don't want to just baby everybody and have like every class be this like, okay, you get these things, that's all you have, pat, 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 and then they go on, and then you have something like monks towards the advanced part, and the most advanced is the druid right now, because your wild forms are customizable. And there's a point system for your wild forms, just like you had a point system for. So druids can get, whoa, man, and the skill ceiling or the amount of customization options you have is big. But in all the systems that you mentioned as well, I think someone like you guys, literally all of you here, are gonna take the more difficult option or the more complex and customized option every time. Whereas you probably, well, I know you all made custom weapons, you all made custom armor, you all made custom ancestries. But if you do want to have a simpler journey, you could just take the default ancestry, look at the table of armor, there's 3 options, look at the table of weapons, I guess there's more options there, and then just take those. So I think that would help some if people are worried about that, but then it is a lot to take on, and that's a challenge that I wrestled with. Because in D&D, levels 1 and 2 are boring, everybody just wants to skip to level 3. But in DC20, I want you to play level 1, and level 1's fun, and the game starts off at that. But there is a lot, and maneuvers I could definitely see there being maybe less of them, or like have like go instead of 4 be 3, or
just have some of them just be high level, like requirements or something.
Yeah,
I could see them coming in at higher level
and trickle them in more. One thing that the team was talking about, they're like, oh, we could do this thing, and then you can get techniques at first level. I'm like, I'm sorry, I do not think there should be techniques at first level. It would add one more thing that further this thing I already kind of feel is a little bit of a problem. And also starting off at level 2 is a lot that a lot of one shots and people record of D&D are at level 3 at conventions. People like play with level 3 characters like off the jump, but like jumping into a level 3 or level 2 here was like talents, like talents, martial path points, techniques. It is a lot more. So y'all are the first ones to do level 2 in a video with me here. So props to y'all guys for struggling through that. But that's a good point though.
It is really fun. The point I was going to make was almost the same as Colby's. It does feel like very complicated for potential new players, and I think that might be because your playtesters and so many of us come from D&D, and we can't. And in a big way, I think a huge part of DC20's meteoric success is how it has been presented and understood as it's literally just D&D but better in so many ways. Because it's like, custom origins, customized species that they won't touch. In a way, because everyone playtesting it already knows 5e so well, presumably, and other systems, maybe there is like an inclination to start doing like the Pathfinder thing where you kind of make it crunchier and crunchier and crunchier because everyone already knows how a game works. I'm imagining trying to play this with like my sister or something, let's play DC20. I think this would be, even with the simpler things, it might be a bit much.
Right. So also as a big, to say what?
Sorry. I was going to say, I don't know if it's even helpful feedback, because what the heck does that mean? Oh, it's a bit much.
No, absolutely.
I think it could be just passing down those maneuvers, or maybe just having like simpler classes and harder classes. Like literally, like you do kind of what they did with the new rules, where they're like, the fighter is really easy, and then they said the monk was really hard. Like I can't remember, but they did it.
And this is the thing I love the most about this is I don't get to have conversations like this often, but every playtest I do, I have a thing like this, and we do a back and forth. So when I'm playing devil's advocate, I am absolutely taking the feedback, just like with what Chris said about the hunter. But the different perspective shift to then see if that resonates with you or not is when playing with new players, because I've played DC20 with people who haven't played a TTRPG before, right? With those players, are they going to play optimally? Maybe no, but it's very simple, and I think more simple than D&D still. When I attack and I do, are they going to use a spell strike? Oh dear God, the spell strike, that would be kind of more advanced or whatever. But like, it's still more simple, almost from a board game perspective. Like there's 4 action points, you do things with them, and that's it. And like their turns can be very simple and quick, and then you can like even backwards engineer their turns to be like, I want to do this. And even as a game master helping a new player, you can say like, okay, well, you're going to have to move. You're going to have to attack. We have 2 action points left. Like you can almost like backwards engineer what their turn could look like instead of like, oh, well, you can't do anything anymore. And you're like backed into a corner with it. But you can also, something I'm trying to do, what I think you're touching on to, which could be saying that I accomplished it, but maybe the other aspect of that is to create a game where a newbie can make a character and not be confused, but it has a high skill ceiling to be able to min-max crunch it out to where you guys did some wild and crazy turns. Like Colby's first turn did like so many attacks, but bypassed it from the mongoose stance and then the dual wielding thing and then like all these different things that you're doing. And then there's also potentially you have a technique for whirlwind and you could have used that. Like, oh my gosh, right? There's so many potential things there where I want the same players at the same table to be able to like to have the advanced players be able to crunchify their thing out and build out things like all 4 of you built, which are now talking about some of the complexities of, which in my mind, I'm wondering, is that a problem or am I allowing a more advanced player to play the way they want? But if they're confused, then that's bad. So that's kind of
I don't know how more simple Will could have made it, Alan. What we want are lower taxes, more social services.
Do both of them. But that's the 2 I want to try and accommodate for is kind of the character, the hypothetical player I mentioned earlier. They take the default of everything. They don't min-max their defense. They chose the 4 attributes that they had. Everything fell in place. The default ancestry, default armor, default weapons, and then they're level 1. Because if you played with your sister or whatever, they'd be level 1 for sure, right? And then that kind of cleans their hands from it. And then that absolute newbie slider scale compared to at level 1, you choose a spell blade and you're able to have the stamina and mana and you choose spells and you have all these options, right? And then snapshot those 2 to see if it's where it should be. Because that's the hard part that I'm going to be kind of like reflecting on is that complexity that y'all are feeling at level 2. But if I peel that back, am I going to be taking away tools from the players who are wanting to be more, do the epic turns?
Part of it might be a cultural, something you might just have to articulate is different about the culture of a DC20 game. Because at least in D&D, I think people are used to leveling up to level 2 after their first session. Maybe their second session. But you could maybe that's not how DC20 works. Maybe you spend a month at each level minimum.
Yeah, I would say it'd be a smoother level curve because like you'd be level 1 for like 2 or 3 sessions. You'd be level 2 for like 2 or 3 sessions. You'd be level, that for sure is different.
Yeah, because level 2 feels very low when we say it. But if in DC20 it's not that low and you've had multiple adventures before.
Yeah, for sure.
Then maybe that's not so much a problem either.
I love, for the record, I love like all the crunchiness and the customization options. The custom weapons is like, it's so like, it's such a no-brainer to me, you know what I mean? and so great, I think. There's so many things that I do love. Again, I can only speak from like a monk perspective and one combat encounter. I would say you could drop probably 2 maneuvers and maybe even 1 stance, as much as I hate to say it.
Oh no, all the monks are pissed at you now.
I know. Don't do that anymore. You know what I mean? I'm saying like a couple of maneuvers probably, and it would feel like right on target for me.
I do feel like in my head I went to 2. Dropping from 4 to 2, I think would be an easy less things on someone's plate potentially in that way. Because if you wanted to be a tank, you could take 2. And you flesh that out.
You can get your taunt and
or
whatever, or your protection.
And like Will said, you have the baseline 3 that you always have, no matter what.
Trip, power, sweep. Right?
Yeah. So that's I can see that being simple as well. But that's a really honestly huge, great feedback there. Just like the taking care of all the players. Because if we do take away 2 maneuvers, the crunchy people, the min-maxers will find a way to, make those builds work too. Because another thing in DC20, I think, instead of in D&D, it's like I deal the most, like you're like you get the flex in there when you deal the most damage possible. In DC20, I feel like your flex comes in of squeezing the most out of every action point possible, and y'all did a lot of that.
Yeah, and I'll say that doing that and maybe just reducing the number of options slightly, might make the choices even that much more
impactful.
Right? Like, because I found myself going, okay, I really want this, and this. Okay, I can get those.
Okay,
I still have like 4 more to choose.
Right.
So I'll take this and this and this. Maybe never use them or very.
Right.
And so why not make me go, ooh, gosh, dang it! Like I'd really love to have both of these, but I think for this character, I want to, do this.
It would be particularly good if you could just find a way, also just to like maybe segment them in a way, because like imagine like masteries in D&D. So you have this long list of possible things that you could theoretically do with your weapons. I don't have to worry about 90% of them because I know what weapon I'm going to use. It's like I know what mastery is the only one I have to like even right? So the other ones are just in the background.
Who cares?
But in here, I mean, if I want to maximize my character, if I'm a crunchy player, I have to read all of them because I want to make sure that I'm using, I don't know, the best ability that I have. So,
since maneuvers were brought up, I remember now making the character, going through maneuvers to pick them, and noticing that a lot of the maneuvers are for melee. And so as a ranged character, I took the 4 maneuvers that were available to ranged. And so I wasn't really... I had so many maneuvers I didn't really pick. I just had all the ones that were good for ranged. And like why even limit it to 4? Just say everything that's not for melee you can do.
Right, because you can't do grapple maneuvers.
And none of them. In the session.
Right.
It was one of those cases where I had to go through the list to see which ones were available for ranged, and I'm like, I've got 4 of these, and I'm like, I need that one. That one.
Right.
Oh, I found 4, and then.
Well, I definitely don't want to have the case of like you have so many things you don't know what to do with them, because that happened in skills. The way the skill system worked is that you had if you had high intelligence and you were like a bard and you had like
you could almost have
there's so many skills
per level.
Yeah. So I think cutting those back will be a for sure thing. And so anybody watching this, if y'all saw this is where it happened. Because sorry, these dang YouTubers took away all our maneuvers.
Ruining everything.
I'm a lone wolf. Sorry. I do my own maneuvers.
but I mean, just I guess to be the positive voice, like because as a barbarian, I do love having the options.
Yeah.
So like the maneuvers as a system is just brilliant. I love it. I absolutely love it because it just gives me something that I can do that is always going to be different. I could make it always different.
Well, and
depending on the circumstances.
And for you on your barbarian, like if I did say let's rewind and you had to pick only 2, I do think that would mean more valuable choices and you feeling better about those choices and not feeling overwhelmed from the 2 that you have and you feel good about it. And looking forward to leveling up and gaining the other maneuvers to then fill your plate with and then be like, oh, nice.
I think you should get more maneuvers as you go up.
Absolutely, right.
But yeah, it was a lot because.
Well, another thing that just made me think of is like if you think about like, okay, what maneuvers would I ever want ever? And somebody read the list of all maneuvers they ever feel like they would ever want and what level they would hit that at. If I give too many out, you'll hit that at like level 8, not something level 7 or something. Maybe you have all the maneuvers you ever want, and now for the rest of the game, who cares because you have them all. So that's another good point there.
And speaking of your example before of having kind of the default weapons and the default ancestries, why not a default maneuver for each class so that people don't have to find it and look it up.
Oh, I see.
Like a recommended list of maneuvers.
Recommended. It's like the recommended spell, right?
It's everywhere else in the game, so I'm honestly surprised that I didn't think of that because it's such a pillar of what I want to make sure that I have those newbies pick. We have a pre-made spell list even. Like we have pre-made spell lists to like help with that, but then maneuvers, like recommended maneuvers for like, that's actually really smart.
Right. Why not?
I do love the way that you can synergize with them though too. Like you might have a weapon, or in my case, like a monk stance, right, that does extra damage if an enemy has a certain condition, and then you can go and find like a maneuver that's going to potentially impose that condition.
Or make sure an ally in your party can impose that condition and do that too.
I intentionally wanted to make sure I had a fist weapon because I knew Rex was going to be grappling.
Yeah.
And I can do like extra damage.
Bang.
Target.
Yeah.
Everything was dying so quickly that I never got a chance to take advantage of it.
Yeah. Jeez.
Super
Yeah,
cool.
I can see the teamwork potential is like unreal.
Right. That was a
All the
huge
options.
huge pillar there. So cool. Yeah. I never got to show y'all the water elementals because y'all destroyed them so quickly. You popped a whole round of them before I could even do it. And the water elementals.
Go to.
Well, I'll pull it up on the water elemental screen. If they had another one come in, there's another one that spawns in, an even larger one. But basically, another thing about like DC20 monster design, it's really easy to make monsters and easy to make them cool because all the by fives makes things really easy. Action points are really easy. Like Bebo, for example, had 3 action points and he's just this little throwaway thing or whatever. But the water elementals each had 2. Oh, sorry. Whoa. Each of the water elementals had 2 action points. And they had +1 to their attacks, and they dealt a 1 base damage. But if they merged together, the big thing, the 2x2 one, had 4 action points, +2 to all of its rolls, deals 2 base damage. And then if another one merges in, it had 6 action points. The big massive water elemental had 6 action points, dealt +3, and it dealt 3 base damage and all that kind of stuff. So you can do some cool things like that, and messing around with the action points and even like big monsters. I didn't have I didn't choose to have any legendary monsters here because there was enough for this one. But even if you fought one thing, giving them that layer action, which has the delayed thing like you saw with the ceiling falling, and they're at legendary actions that they can spend in between, and they're just action points and they can spend them in between. However you spread out all the different action points, you can make sure the action economy is good for that as well. It's really easy to do. So, but y'all killed my water elementals. Kill them all. So cool. That's it. Thanks. This was super fun.
In the game, bro.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate
It was
it.
definitely fun.
So there you go. There's a bunch of different stuff that we are able to talk about. I love being able to talk about the different feedback people have, and the best time is when people can share a concern with me. I can give my 2 cents and thoughts on it, play devil's advocate. Maybe this is good. This is where my head's coming out with it. I always, I have a positive intention behind every type of rule that's in the game and why I would defend it, or at least kind of share some perspective on it. And maybe the rule should stay the same. Maybe it shouldn't, but I love having that conversation about it. And either way, any of these things, there's a big list that I have of red flags or things to watch out for that are on the radar of DC20. And these conversations are added to that list. And if you have feedback yourself, we have whole sections on Discord that you can go check out as well. But that is it. You can check out all the different links down in the description for DC20 and the people that just now you saw play it. Stay creative. Think outside the box. Peace.